Today we explore an exciting theme: how to achieve financial wellness with blockchain and crypto. In one place, the power of your voice with Mike Murphy.
Okay, welcome everybody to The Power of Your Voice. I'm your host, Mike Murphy. You know, normally I prepare about 2 to 3 hours to interview a guest. But today's guest, maybe 10 minutes, because he's so interesting and there's so many things that I want to know about that are top of mind and big topics in the world right now. And, you know, historically we talk about physical detox and health and wellness and manifestation and consciousness and stuff like that. But today we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about neuroscience. We're going to talk about a crazy American that comes down to Medellin, Colombia to live. And so let me just read this man's bio. Brandon Zemp is an entrepreneur, investor, trader, and host of the popular BlockHash podcast. He graduated from Pitzer College in 2017 with a bachelor's in neuroscience before founding BlockHash LLC, a consulting, coaching, and education company. Zemp is also head of BioColombia, a Colombian-based crypto consultancy in Latin America. He resides in Medellin, Colombia, and enjoys sports, playing chess, and reading. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
So let me ask you this. First of all, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Portland, Oregon, in the United States on the West Coast, and migrated down to Las Vegas, I think somewhere after high school, before going to college. Went to college in Claremont, California. Got my degree in neuroscience there. Like you mentioned, I was originally on the pre-med track. I was going to go to medical school, become a neuroscientist, neurosurgeon, you know, whatever, go through the gamut, take my MCATs. Like, I was going down that path, and I was like, there was no thought in mind that I'd be going a different direction in life. And the only reason why is because I had invested money into crypto and just popped up one day right when I graduated. And I'm like, well, shit, I guess, you know, maybe I'll consider my options, take a year off, learn a little bit. And I never looked back after that. And I don't think everyone was too happy. But, you know, it paid off in the end. And I'm so much happier at 28 being here with what I've done so far in life versus being stuck in medical school. At this point, probably not practicing yet, probably not with a license, and in tremendous amount of debt. So I'm happy that I woke up and saw that opportunity and made a different decision.
So the world lost a great neuroscientist or neurosurgeon and gained another banker. No, just kidding. Where is Pitzer College?
It's in Claremont, California. It's part of the Claremont Consortium of colleges. There's actually Pitzer College, Claremont McKenna College, Harvey Mudd, Scripps, and Pomona College. And those five make up the 5C consortium. And it feels, you take a lot of classes, not just from one college, but from all five of the colleges, and you get this more well-rounded experience in the liberal arts as well as in the sciences. And that was a very unique experience.
And someone told me that you played football?
I did. I grew up playing football since I was in like the third grade.
What position?
Primarily quarterback through high school. And then I discovered that I was, you know, not too bad of an athlete as well. So decided to play wide receiver and running back, and was first team all league throughout high school. We won a state championship my freshman year. We almost went back to state our senior year. I had a very successful football career when I was young. And then for a while wanted to play Division I football, and then got talked out of it. Like, it's probably not a good idea. You just beat yourself up or become a punching bag, and the level of play is absurd. So went to a good school instead to study, and then played D3 football for a few years, and just kind of enjoyed the experience. And then that was no professional career, unfortunately.
So you're a college kid, you got a little bit of money, I don't know how much, and you invest in some sort of crypto, and that you become wealthy enough to say, screw med school. And why Medellin? Tell me that story, and then tell me how you end up in Medellin, Colombia.
Yeah, so I had originally heard about crypto like at the very beginning of my college experience in like 2013. And that was the time that Bitcoin first, you know, broke some headlines, went over like $1,000. Everyone wanted to know what it was. You know, is this an asset? You know, is this, you know, a fad, whatever? And I thought it was interesting. Like any, young entrepreneurial investor mind. Just like, I'll just throw some money in it, play around with it, learn a new market. And then had inadvertently put money in Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, had lost my Bitcoin, had lost my Litecoin because all the wallets and exchanges were very fraudulent at the time. And the only place I had crypto that wasn't like a huge problem was Coinbase, and that was where I kept my Ethereum. And it went from like $6 the month I graduated from college up to like $200, $250.
Wow.
And I was just shocked. Like, that was the most money I ever had in my life at that point in time. And I'm like, okay, well, I have enough. I can take a break, right? I can take a year off and go travel. So my family has always been very entrepreneurial minded. I have a lot of friends that are investors, a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs that have been very successful in their lives. And they really recommended that I get out and see the world. Like, don't just commit to being a doctor. Even every doctor I talked to said the same thing. Like, I don't know, man, I don't like being a doctor. So go check everything out first, explore all your options. So I did that.
So you make like a 40x return, which is rather significant. And now you got money. And so how'd you end up in Medellin?
So I had a family friend recommend that I check out Medellin for the first time back in like 2017 or 2018. And I knew nothing about Medellin. I knew nothing about Colombia, let alone most of Latin America. But I wanted to travel and I wanted to get the experience. And I was constantly being told, Medellin in Latin America is going to be like one of the next big cities to be in if you want to invest or start a business or build a career. Like, if you want to get ahead of an economy, Medellin is an opportunity. So I was like, okay, I got to go check this out. And then from the very first time I came, I had my initial culture shock. And then I was like, this is paradise. And then I had this urge to keep coming back. I wanted to know, like, could I live here? Could I do something here? What are the barriers like? My curiosity just got spiked. And the more and more I spent time down here, the more I realized it's so easy to make connections. It's so easy to navigate around the city and the system, and the lifestyle's good, and it's good for your health, and the food's good, and the people are nice. And
Hey, calm down. We don't want too many people moving here.
but it felt like the best kept secret.
I'm just kidding. So when did you come down here?
I think it was early 2018 for the first time.
Okay. And permanently, when did you move?
I decided to stay permanently when the pandemic struck.
Okay.
And I don't think my family and friends were too happy about that either.
Right.
They're like, first, you're not going to medical school. Now you're going to stay in Colombia during the pandemic. And I'm like, I have a feeling it's going to be worse in the US than it is here. And that turned out to be right. And I thoroughly enjoyed this experience being stuck here during the pandemic. I learned so much about the people and how they handle things. And that was like the nail in the coffin for me. Like, I wanted to live here, and I just make it official. And I got an office, I got an apartment. I just locked myself in and put roots in the ground. And that's it since.
So let's talk blockchain. So I'm 65. So all my buddies, my golfing buddies, all my buddies in business, they go, I don't understand it. I'm not going to invest in it, right? It is kind of more of a young person's technology, because you do need to put some time, effort, and have a young brain to figure it out. Is that correct?
On the contrary, you'd be surprised how many people really like blockchain as a technology that are above that younger age gap. Yeah, you could say people that my age or younger probably are the most interested, but I don't know. I see people all over the spectrum, age-wise, that like this industry. And, being a podcaster, being an author, being a content creator, having two different businesses where I specifically help people understand the technology and apply it, a lot of them aren't young people. And I think the young people, what they're trying to do right now is figure out how they can get education so that they can get a job and become a developer and make money. But a lot of the people that already have money that are trying to figure out the next best thing, they're interested in this stuff, and they're pouring money and time and effort into it. And I think a lot of the people I've worked with and the clients I've worked with have been much older than you'd imagine. So I think it's an industry that attracts a broad spectrum.
So would you work with a client like me and say, hey, invest here? Is that you do that?
Well, I won't give anyone like direct investment advice.
Let me say, by the way, we're not giving any financial advice here whatsoever today. So
Yeah, I can never give like direct financial advice, but in terms of understanding how to do the process and how to do the research and due diligence and understanding what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, what are you supposed to be doing? How do you properly comply with the laws? How do you file your taxes? How do you apply the technology to a specific use case in a business? We've worked with CEOs and founders. We've worked with senators and mayors. We've worked with a wide range of clients that need different things. So as long as it's not me saying, hey, buy this and sell that, everything else kind of falls under my umbrella.
So you published your first book in 2017, The Satoshi Sequence, and Satoshi is allegedly the guy that created this, right? Can you tell us a little bit about Satoshi and what happened there?
Yeah, so Satoshi Nakamoto is a pseudonym for the person or entity or group that invented Bitcoin. Now, he has disappeared since creating Bitcoin, and nobody's ever heard from him since, which is very fascinating. It has led to a lot of theories and ideas.
Conspiracy theories as well.
Exactly. So we don't know who he is, but Bitcoin essentially is this decentralized network that isn't controlled by any single individual, party, person, group, and works seamlessly, flawlessly, simply as a payment system and as an investable store of value.
And every transaction is stored within, it's almost like a hologram or a fractal, right? Every transaction is right there in every piece. Is that similar?
Yes. So the blockchain is immutable, which means that its transaction history is always going to be there.
Right.
And there's a full history that you can go back, review, and audit. And it's what makes it like a ledger. And it also adds so much extra additional value to it when you want to have something in finance that you can verify actually happened. And that whole concept has evolved as people have realized, oh, Bitcoin is just one use case of what blockchain can do. And then that's how Ethereum gets created. That's how Solana gets created. That's how Cardano gets created. And then you get this ecosystem of blockchains that are capable of storing information in a decentralized fashion and doing different things.
And blockchain or Bitcoin is finite, right? There's X amount.
Yes, and that's one of the beauties about Bitcoin is this deflationary model. It's finite. There's only a certain amount in existence, 21 million, and there will never be more than that.
And that's the max, right?
Yep.
And where are they at right now?
So the Bitcoin network itself releases that Bitcoin periodically to
Miners.
what are called miners that help secure the network. So one of the best parts about it is it's so inclusive for anyone to be a part of the ecosystem if they want to. You can essentially donate your computing power to the network to help facilitate those transactions. And then the network says, thank you for that and rewards you Bitcoin. It's that simple. Now, mining itself isn't simple, but I mean, in concept, that is how it works.
Have you done that?
Yeah,
Have you been successful, gotten Bitcoin by mining?
I have, but I learned a lot too. So
Because it requires a lot of energy, right?
exactly.
Electricity.
Yeah. So in 2018, I was exploring so many different potential business opportunities because I didn't know what the next big thing would be as this became an industry. So I was like, I want to start a consultancy. I want to start a podcast. I want to start a mining farm. Something was going to stick.
Right.
The mining farm is something I did that I poured a lot of money into, especially a lot of that investment money. I was one of those people that was going out to all the major department stores and buying GPUs.
What's that?
The graphics cards that gamers use in their computers.
Okay.
But what people realize is, oh, these graphics cards are really good at lending out computing power to Bitcoin and Ethereum to mine. So people like me would go to the store and buy them all, and then the gamers would get pissed off because there's no more gaming cards for their computers. And it led to shortages in semiconductors in Taiwan. It caused tons of different economic issues. It pushed AMD and NVIDIA to the brink of profitability, and they had to realign their market structure to cater to that market as well and not to just gamers. So it's evolved so much of the gaming market too, which is fascinating.
So let's say I have Bitcoin. Can I buy stuff on Amazon with Bitcoin?
Not necessarily yet. Like Amazon directly doesn't let you do it, but you could use like a third party Chrome extension, for example. There's CEOs I've interviewed in my podcast. MoonPay is a good example, where they plug into like your Chrome browser and they kind of like overlay on top of Amazon. And what they do is when you go to check out, you pay MoonPay, MoonPay converts it to dollars, and then MoonPay pays for the order for you. So there's a lot of situations like that where there's use cases that kind of find ways to get over that hurdle. But eventually Amazon will accept it. Once the market gets big enough, you can't not.
So I was a car dealer in my previous life, and can you buy a car with it?
You could. There are a lot of those Bitcoin Lambo Maxi individuals out there that made a lot of money, and then they would go to like Lamborghini or Ferrari, and they'd buy themselves a Lamborghini or Ferrari. You can't just walk into a dealership and buy a car, but it's up to the dealer. Like some of them do. You just have to find them, and they're online.
So basically, it's just an investment tool right now, right? I buy low, sell high, hopefully.
Yeah, right now, I think most people see Bitcoin as a really good investment vehicle and asset and store of value than they do as a payment method, simply because no one has started to accept it. Like it's not broadly accepted
So
yet.
I personally prefer to have physical gold and silver, but I can't go to Safeway with gold and silver. So it's similar to that, right? It's a store of value that hopefully will be better than paper when everything explodes.
Yeah, so this is the argument, is that gold has been like the gold standard for like what money should be for thousands of years. And we've had a technological innovation on everything except gold and the idea of money until Bitcoin.
Right.
So now the debate is, is Bitcoin as good or better a store of value than gold? And I think there's a lot of reasons to argue that that is true, but the debate will rage on.
Remains to be seen.
Sure.
Because some countries have made it illegal, correct?
To
use Bitcoin or own Bitcoin. Like China, didn't they outlaw it? China?
They did, but I think they're starting to flip their stance on it because they're realizing how profitable the market is.
Okay. And then there's countries like, is it San Salvador? El Salvador?
El Salvador.
El Salvador has made it their main currency.
Yeah, El Salvador has made Bitcoin legal tender. I think they realized the value in Bitcoin. Bukele has also had the government there buy Bitcoin in large swaths, in large chunks over the last couple of years as an investment, too, for their country. And that's also paid off for them. It depends on what your economic philosophy is. I'm not going to tell you that Bitcoin is or isn't like a good thing as like a store of value or as money or whatever. But in my personal opinion, I do think it is. And I think that the stats don't lie. Over the last decade, the best performing asset is not gold, especially in these bad, corrupt markets. It is Bitcoin. In the recent financial and banking collapse in the US here in March, Bitcoin performed well above gold. And gold was seeing record inflows into gold ETFs and gold stocks, but Bitcoin still outperformed gold.
Do you hold any physical silver or gold?
I do. I think it's still a good investment.
Yeah. Some of your portfolio should be in physical.
Absolutely. I don't think you should put all your money in one bucket.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. We're both Americans. We both chose to have a plan B, which is Colombia for us. The United States dollar appears to be wobbling as the global currency. How do you see that?
I think that's absolutely accurate. We have a very interesting situation right now where the US dollar is experiencing tremendous inflation. The Federal Reserve in the US has raised the federal funds rate quite dramatically and hawkishly to try and bring that down, and it has put a tremendous amount of pressure on the banking industry, on the job sector, and on the stock market. And at the same time, what we have is a government that doesn't know how to get along with other people in the world, and a very corrupt set of people there. And you're seeing other people ally in the rest of the world, like you're seeing formations like BRICS, which is the Brazilian, Russian, Indian, Chinese, South African alliance, and they're going to issue their own digital currency.
And also backed by gold, perhaps, I understand.
Yes, I think they announced something about that happening in either like August or September, but they will have their own sovereign currency between the 5 countries. It's like their version of the euro, but backed by gold, which is why Russia and China have been hoarding gold for years.
Yep.
Makes sense now.
Yep.
And they've also China's gotten so powerful with their economy, they're going to eclipse the U.S. very soon. They've gone out and structured all these deals and said, hey, are you fed up with the U.S. and the dollar and their thumb over you all the time? Take the Chinese yuan.
And especially with what they did to Russia, cut them out of the SWIFT system, took all their assets. I mean, come on. I mean, what's that say to the rest of the world? To say, hey, this superpower, if they don't like you, they're just going to take your stuff. Of course, the world has to say, hey, we need a backup plan, right?
Exactly. And now that's starting to happen, and the U.S. dollar is becoming a bit more critical. Now no one wants the U.S. dollar.
Right.
The U.S. dollar is going to lose its purchasing power. It's not going to be the petrodollar anymore. It's going to be like the petro yuan, essentially. And that's not good, especially with rising inflation rates for the dollar. So one thing they're talking about in Congress is trying to repeg it to gold, which in my opinion would be a financial disaster for the U.S., because why did Nixon take the dollar off the gold standard?
Because they don't have any.
Yeah, that and the fact that they went to claim the gold by turning in the dollars, and they would go broke.
Yeah, just quickly for you guys listening and watching, what happened was in 71, because the dollar used to be backed by gold, okay? And in 71, France literally took a ship full of dollars to the States and says, okay, we want our gold. And Kissinger said, no, sorry, you can't have it. So now we got a big problem. So what'd they do? They went to the Saudis, who had a bunch of bad neighbors that could, overtake them and take all their oil. And the U.S. said, hey, we will protect you. We got your back. We asked one thing. You only sell oil for dollars, and then you take those dollars and you invest it in our stock market. So since 1974, we've been the global printing press, and the dollar is backed by nothing. So basically it's paper and ink. So the Saudis would ship us a tanker full of oil, and we would give them paper and ink. Everybody was happy until the U.S. used this gift, this power that they got in 1944, the Bretton Woods, and they were abusing it, okay? They were printing all this money. We have $32 trillion debt. We have 150 in unfunded liability. There's not enough money in the world to ever pay it. And then now the interest rates have gone up 5-6%, where they were 0. Could you imagine? I mean, that's a shock to every system. Obviously, it was a shock to Silicon Valley Bank. So that's what's happened. So for you guys in America, just start paying attention, start researching, start having a backup plan, because inflation is coming. Because if the dollar is replaced as a global currency, and it is being replaced, you can now buy oil from the Saudis with Chinese RMB. You probably buy it with chopsticks, to be honest with you. And so therefore, all these dollars have to come flooding back to the United States. And what's that going to cause? Hyperinflation. So just wake up, pay attention, have a plan B, and realize that anything that's paper could be a problem. And you want solid assets that you can hold in your hand. So a Bitcoin wallet you can hold in your hand. I haven't drank that Kool-Aid, frankly. I had a small little experience with it. But for me, it's gold and silver. But it could be real estate, a real asset, especially like farmland and stuff like that. Okay, so you published your second book this year, 2023. This guy's 28 years old, was going to be a neuroscience, played high school quarterback, got all the cheerleaders, and very impressive young man, I have to say, in what you're doing and what you're accomplishing. So I'm very impressed. And so tell me about your latest book, just came out January 2023, The Future Economy, A Crypto Insider's Guide to the Tech Dismantling of Traditional Banking.
And what great timing, too. Right?
You're like Nostradamus.
Yeah. So to give a little bit of background on the second book, the first one I just self-published because I felt there needed to be some literature out there. So I published my own manifesto on crypto. But I wanted to do another book for a long time and update people on what is really happening in this market. Crypto has gone off the hook the last couple of years, and it's coming back right now.
What's Bitcoin today? I don't even know. 30?
It's between 28 and 30,000, but it's come back up from like
'Cause
15 in December. It's got to an all-time high of like 70,000 a year and a half ago, but it's coming back up again, and for good reason. But people need to understand why these things are happening. Why does it fluctuate like this? Why is this market important? Why is there billions of dollars pouring into it? So I needed to write another book. And per happenstance, Forbes had reached out to me. And Forbes was they recently started a new division with Advantage Media called Forbes Books. And they had done a lot of different financial books, a lot of business books, self-help books, stuff like that. But they wanted to do something on blockchain. And so they reached out to me and I said, okay, and took up the opportunity. We put about a year and a half of work into putting the book together, and we launched it officially January to begin this year, January 2nd.
Wow.
And the book got off to a very good start. We were #1 release on Amazon. We hit the Amazon bestseller list in every category. And have sold a tremendous amount of books. And I think it's great timing too. I'm so glad that so many people were able to pick up the book and read it. We've also given out a lot of free books.
Oh, by the way, thank you for my copy.
Of course, I'll sign it too. Don't worry.
Thank you.
But yeah, I wanted to give out as many books as I can, hopefully as more books as I can that I've even sold. I requested more books just to give out for free than I have sold through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and we're in every major retailer. You can buy it anywhere in the U.S. But we wanted to educate people because I knew that we were coming to a head with the economy, and crypto is one of those things that is disrupting it tremendously. And we just saw that in March. We just saw the banks completely collapse because of the economy and the US dollar and what's happening in our financial system. And again, like I mentioned, the best performing asset in that crisis was Bitcoin. Right. And Bitcoin by Satoshi Nakamoto was designed specifically for this. Going back in history a little bit to 2008, he specifically mentioned in the Bitcoin white paper that he created Bitcoin as a hedge against the financial system. And since 2008, we haven't seen Bitcoin tested like that until now. And look what happens. So I think now is one of the most important times in modern financial history because everything's going digital. It's the fourth industrial revolution. Everything's changing. Tech is hitting the singularity. And it's a good opportunity for people to learn. And so I wanted this book to come out in time. I'm so glad it did. The supply chain in the U.S. was so messed up, like 22 weeks backlogged. So
right.
It's been a fun experience.
Yeah, as a car dealer, I mean, we've really experienced that supply chain. I mean, literally, it was 2021. We normally stock like 200 new cars. We'd sell 100 new. We literally have 10 or 15 new cars in stock that whole year. Our profit doubled. So it was the whole thing. Nothing made sense. Everything was insane. I think the supply chain is kind of rectifying itself right now, but what's the next shoe to drop? That's the thing. So the Bitcoin, so when I bought Bitcoin, I used Coinbase. And so I had a wallet. Okay, I think I had Bitcoin, I had Ethereum. But then later I would read, no, you don't want to have it on a Bitcoin. You want to put it on a hard wallet. So what's all that about?
Yeah, so the beauty of Bitcoin and crypto more broadly is it's not something that you have to leave in the bank. I mean, you can self-custody it as well. Just like you can hold cash in your wallet, just like you can have gold coins at home. You can either get what's called a hot wallet, so like a wallet that's on your phone or on your laptop, or a cold wallet, like a little ledger device. I'm sure you've seen them. They're called hardware wallets. And it's like having a physical wallet for your cash, essentially. And that way that you have full control over your funds and your money. It's like if you had cash or gold coins. If you lose it, you F it up, it's on you. Yeah. But the beauty is you have full control.
And it can't be stolen or hacked.
Exactly. So that's a huge benefit of it, is being able to be digital and be fluid without having to rely on that extra third party.
So here's one of my other concerns. So almost every country has a central bank, except maybe one or two. Central banks are owned by private bankers. And so if I'm a central bank owner and I control, because I have all the money, I control the governments, I control everything, why would if I have the ability to go to a government and say, I want you to make this illegal, what protects Bitcoin? What protects people from the trillionaires that run the world, the central bankers and the governments? What is there a protection?
So I just wrote an article about this for Forbes, and what central banks are trying to do right now is they're creating something called a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. I've been preaching this for a long effing time. And finally, and I wrote about this in the book too before this became popular at all this spring, Every major bank in the world and every first world country, even the small ones, are trying to figure out how they can create their own digital sovereign
And
currency.
hasn't India done it?
Yeah.
They've gotten away with it. 99% are on this digital currency, right?
I think they've released it. China did it first. Nigeria has the Naira. The euro, the digital euro, is going to have a final decision by Christine Lagarde in October, in the fall. Fed Now is coming out in July.
But is this good for the world?
This is the debate. So it is so much better to have something like Bitcoin in crypto because it offers so many more choices for an individual.
It's private. You know, once the feds control every dime I got, one, they know everything I'm spending it on, and more importantly, if I say something they don't like, not only do they censor me on YouTube, they just turn off my Fedcoin, and now what do I got?
Well, that's the kind of control the government wants. Right. They did the same thing with gold when FDR wanted to confiscate it.
They bought it back. Yeah, they made you sell it. They made you sell it.
Exactly. And they might try to do that in some places with crypto too. They've tried in China. But what they've realized is this asset and this asset class is much harder to regulate because once someone has it, you can't really force someone to give it up. I mean, you could go arrest someone and say, hand it over or put a gun to their head, but it's so much more difficult. There's not a lot of easy steps in place. So it's more scary than it is something they can control. So what they're doing is they're just trying to create their own alternative while people are still in the system. And this is what's debatable. If they create a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, let's say a digital dollar in the US, and you are already in the dollar fiat system, whether it's in the bank, you have cash, whatever, they can say, your money is going to expire. You have 2 years unless you convert it.
Right.
And they're going to make it, and they'll make it impossible for you to buy Bitcoin.
And by the way, to convert it, we'll give you a bonus.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to give you a bonus. We're going to give you some free money to get into our system. But then basically, if everybody does it, we're slaves. It's over, right?
That is the checkmate theory. Yes. So this is why it's so crucial now for people to educate themselves and move a portion of their money into alternative assets and precious metals and to Bitcoin and diversify it. Just don't be in fiat. Because if you stay in fiat and you do nothing, one, your money is just going to inflate away anyways.
Right.
And two, it's going to get grandfathered into this new digital system by the government, and then you're stuck. And they will be able to tell you what you can and cannot do with your money. And this is what's going to happen with the digital euro too. Christine Lagarde has already said that purchases over 300 euros, digital euros, will be completely tracked. They will know everywhere your money goes.
I know.
And they already have a 7,000 euro limit for that in Europe, but it'll be even lower. The de minimis will be so low, you'll just have to give up your freedoms.
Right.
So this is the last chance to take financial sovereignty if you want it.
How do you see a country like, because it looks to me like U.S. is headed that way and it's going to happen. And I don't think there's any stopping it. But how do you see a country like Colombia, where, it's a whole different economy, and half the country's in poverty, and half the country only deals with cash because the banking is so expensive here, so many fees. How would you imagine a country like Colombia is going to do with this federal digital currency thing?
What's interesting about Colombia that I don't think most people know is that of all the countries in the world where Bitcoin is the most popular, Colombia is number 6.
Really?
I know, crazy, right? I don't know if it's because of us expats coming here or if it's because of
some of our illegal trade.
Maybe. But I think it's a huge opportunity. And the industry here has gotten more and more vibrant. There's a lot of Web3 startups and tech startups coming to Medellin, not just because of the lifestyle, but because of the opportunity to get away from places like the US. And depending on the influence, which country, is it the US, is it China, is it Russia, is it the Emirates, that will probably dictate a lot of Colombia's future because money coming in from any of those countries will dictate laws and will dictate legislation. So that's yet to be seen. All I do know is that Colombia is positioned very well to just continue going uphill. It's just, is it going to go uphill, right, left, straight? That's yet to be determined.
I really feel like our population is going to stay pretty flat, but our GDP might even double. I really believe that about this country,
Yeah, the only thing that scares me about GDP here is 47 to 48% of all of Colombia's GDP is petroleum, oil. And the current president here, Petro, he wants to shift it more into green, renewable energies. And it's admirable, but it's not profitable.
Yeah.
And the direction they should be going is, and I've said this for a long time, textiles, manufacturing, agriculture, because they generate so much money. Mexico has figured it out, and that's why their GDP went up. Once Colombia figures it out and they get away from oil, their peso gets less manipulated, and GDP, yes, will double, and that'll strengthen the peso and encourage trade.
Well, also, if the dollar collapses, then it's going to really strengthen the peso, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you just mentioned something that I've only heard about, haven't studied at all, and that's Web 3.0. What the heck is that?
So Web 3.0 is like this broad term for the internet. So Web 1 was dial-up internet up at your house, good old AOL America Online. Web 2, I think, was really pioneered by social media.
And Google?
Yeah. So Google and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and, the internet we kind of understand today. Web 3 is a more interactive semantic type of internet that integrates better with machine learning models, as well as new technologies like blockchain and crypto. So when I say Web 3, I'm referring to the broad spectrum of technologies in this day and age. And that, generally, I think more in particular refers to blockchain, but it can mean anything from AI to IoT to cloud storage and data. It's very broad. Robotics.
So how far did you get in your neuroscience work?
I completed my degree.
Oh, you did?
I completed my med track. I got my neuroscience degree. I took my MCATs, got decent scores. Like, there was no reason for me not to go.
Were you going to be a surgeon, or what were you going to be?
I knew the most profitable route was surgeon, but I didn't want to be a surgeon because every surgeon and doctor I knew told me that it is the most depressing career to be in. Unless you love just doing that the rest of your life, it's going to suck.
And by the way, if you don't show up for work, you don't get paid.
Exactly. And it's highly litigious too.
Yes.
You do one thing wrong, even if you don't do it wrong, there goes your license.
And by the way, for you guys watching, I think U.S. currently is like 54th in the world in healthcare. Colombia is 17th. And it's probably about at least 70%, maybe 80% less. So better care, less money. So if you ever want to come down here to Mountains of Hope Transformational Health Retreat Center, and we also offer medical tourism. So there's great value down here and great healthcare. So that's just an FYI. So in the book, The Future Economy, that you just published this year, did you get into the coming crash in the commercial real estate world in America?
A little bit. So I think where we touch on that the most is in the section where we talk about CBDCs. We talk about everything from the advent of NFTs to DeFi to CBDCs to stable coins to the best places to live in the world that are up and coming, the best kind of jobs you can get, and where to invest your money. Like, it's this complete guide to understanding what's going on. But in a lot of those topics, yeah, we do focus on how this tech is disrupting not just the global economy, but the global financial system, very specifically, especially with Bitcoin. And in the CBD section, we talk about this dichotomy that exists between what central banks want to do and what they think is best, and how we're now have this choice between a decentralized world and a centralized one. And there's this financial war going on that is growing every single day, and we've started to see it. The US, they're cracking down very heavily. They don't know how to regulate anything, but they're cracking down because they want control. They're
broke too, by the way. If you look at their balance sheet right now, I mean, I think like a year ago, it was like 1.3 trillion cash. Last time I looked, it was like 90 billion.
Exactly. Well, they're running out of money. They can only do so many lawsuits at once.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's the SEC and Gary Gensler, or the CFTC, or the IRS, or whatever agency, they don't really have any legislative clarity in the U.S. right now. So one says it's property, another says it's security, another says it's a commodity, and it's this huge mess. And now all the major startups and exchanges just said F it, and they're leaving the U.S. right now. And now there's referendums on Capitol Hill, and they're like, wait, we need to do something by the end of the year. Europe today just passed the MiCA bill.
Which is what?
Crypto legislation. So it gives businesses and individuals very clear guidelines on what crypto is in Europe. And I've yet to read into it, but I'm excited to. And it embarrassed the US.
Europe is more advanced than America right now.
Apparently, it's embarrassing. It's something that doesn't usually happen. U.S. is supposed to be innovating and leading in the world, and it's not. And that is something that's very scary. And now the biggest risk to the U.S. right now, other than the upcoming debt ceiling and the spiraling debt and the inflation with the dollar and the banking collapses, like if the innovation itself leaves, America's dead. There's nothing else to pioneer. And that innovation is already leaving very quickly. So now they're scrambling on Capitol Hill. And I'm sure all the special interests and powerful money behind the scenes is like, you know what, you guys need to talk this out and figure out what to do because this country is going to go under. So it's a very interesting situation.
Well, they argue about transgenderism, and
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
economy's collapsing. Okay, we got a minute left. So once again, mention your books, mention any social media, and you have a podcast, which is really good. So please tell everybody about that.
Yeah, so we have a podcast called BlockHash, Exploring the Blockchain, and we pretty much talk about blockchain. We have on every single week, sometimes every single day, CEOs, founders, executives, authors, influencers, all within the blockchain industry. And our whole goal is to educate people on what people are doing and building and creating and innovating on in this space and why it's important. And we've been very successful. We're all over the place on Spotify, Apple, Google.
What's the name of the show again?
It's called BlockHash, Exploring the Blockchain. You can look it up on Google or go to blockhashpodcast.com. It's very easy to find. And it's a great resource if you want to learn.
And do you have a website?
Yes, blockhashpodcast.com.
And so if somebody wants to get a hold of it, they can just contact you through
Yep,
there?
there's a contact form through there too.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I really appreciate you coming over, and you're brilliant, and I'm very impressed with your knowledge, and more importantly, your heart, because I see also in your books, you think this blockchain technology can be used to help humanity, and once we get through whatever we're going to go through in the next few years, right?
Exactly. I think there's a lack of that in the world today, wanting to hope for and do something for humanity. And I think that's something that I definitely want to be a part of. And so, yeah, I push for that in all the work I do. And I appreciate you having me here. It's been a really good conversation, and it's an absolute pleasure.
Super. My pleasure, too. So for you guys out there, please heed this advice. You got to figure it out for yourself, unfortunately, but start researching it. And as I believe, anything that's paper, stocks, bonds, cash, could be a problem. So you want something solid that you can hold in your hand, whether it's a Bitcoin wallet or gold, silver, or real estate, but something solid. I think you're going to come out of this, whatever's going to happen, in a better shape. So stay tuned. Next up is our Mountains of Hope segment. Okay, guys, now is my favorite segment of the show, and that's where we bring in someone from Mountains of Hope, and we talk about Mountains of Hope, which is our amazing transformational health retreat center located right here in Medellin, Colombia. And if you'd like to know more, I encourage you and invite you to go to mountainsofhope.com. And if you're ever fortunate to come and enjoy one of our amazing retreats, one of the subjects we're going to teach you about and go deep in is the subject of breath, work, or breathing, something we do 24/7. And with me today is the lovely Kelly from Mountains of Hope. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you, Mike.
So tell me about breathing.
Mike, I would say it's one of those gifts that we have, and that because we think that obviously we're doing it constantly, but it's a way to improve our sleep. Manage anxiety, like literally manage anxiety like in seconds. And it is a gift that we have that we can start learning more about and understand how it works and how can we use it for our good. And it's amazing.
So you brought up managing anxiety.
Yes.
How can I manage my anxiety with my breath?
So we know that when we have those moments of anxiety, what we are doing is activating our sympathetic part of, from fight or flight. Like we're in front of a lion, we're in front of a situation that actually requires for us to run or fight. So when that happens, our breathing is more like, you don't say to someone, you're in front of a lion. Breathe. I have a lion in front of me. So we know that what happens is, our system completely changes. But right now, with anxiety, we feel like we are in front of the lion in our relationships, at work, when we are probably trying to solve a problem. So the idea with the breathing, and when people say to you, just breathe, count to 10, literally it works. So what we need to do is activate our parasympathetic, and we do it through breathing. So, for example, when you do a slow breathing, that's a way for you to actually, in a moment that you feel anger, you feel anxious, you just start doing a slower breathing, deeper breathing. And I love, love, love one that is the 4-7-8 technique because it actually takes your mind out of the situation, but it also helps you activate your parasympathetic, and it helps you like literally come into the present moment for you to realize there's not a lion there, I can manage this. So it's as simple as you actually like breathe out completely, and then you count 4 to inhale. You count 4 in your mind. You hold it 7 seconds for the count of 7, and then you breathe out in a count of 8. So it's not that much about, how long or how short is your seconds. It's about the counting the 4, 7, 8, and it's about your exhaling being double the time of your inhaling. Yeah. So that is called a slow breathing, and it's amazing. Like literally, I even use it before going to sleep.
Oh, perfect.
And it's amazing.
So I'll share with one I learned a million years ago at a Tony Robbins when I walked on the hot fire coals.
Oh, you definitely need to breathe there.
Yeah, for sure. But with the one he taught us is to breathe in for 6 seconds.
Yes.
Hold it for 24. So now you're fully
Wow.
oxygenating your cells of your body, your bloodstream and all that. And then slowly exhale at 12. So I do this a lot of times when I'm feeling stressed or when I'm driving and I want to just get the anxiety down. So I'll breathe in for 6, I'll hold for 24, and I'll let go for 12. The other thing is I recently wrote a book, and the title of the book is Breathe, okay? And it was super powerful because I have hypertension, right? And so what I got out of that book, for me, every person is a little different. Mm-hmm. So the ideal rate for me is to breathe in 5.5 times per minute, okay?
Yes.
So what I noticed, I did that once for like an hour. My hypertension, my blood pressure dropped below normal. I mean, I was so relaxed and so at peace. And so think about it. You know, we can't go more than a couple minutes without oxygen. Mm-hmm. So it's that powerful. And so what other things do you have to share with us?
Mike, based on what you were saying, because hypertension is one of those things that these days, a lot of people are actually having that issue. And when you talk about the breathing part, I mean, literally it's an exercise. I'm not saying to people to stop the medication, but I'm saying try it. Like literally give it a try about the slow breathing, because the breathing in that way, because it activates your parasympathetic, so you are not in the anxious thing that is also related with hypertension. The other thing is because it lowers your blood pressure, like literally it happens. Yeah. There are studies done that when you actually breathe like slower, when you have these deep breaths, I mean, they check it, yeah. And it happens, it lowers it. And the other thing is trying to do it from the diaphragm, because yes. Many times when you say to someone breathe, it's like, that is short and that is not enough. Your right. lungs actually don't get there. When you look at baby, I mean, it's the little tummy, the one that does this.
Right.
So it's literally because we have these times these days, put your thing back,
right,
like your core, like, no, like.
You want to expand your stomach as you breathe in, and as you exhale, it goes back to normal.
Exactly. So you put your hand there and start from there, like take it from there. When you're starting, if you're just starting, try just do it slow. I mean, the counting is something that you can get to it, because sometimes you can get dizzy if you're not familiar with it. So just try for a moment. It helps you to be present, to be there, trying from your diaphragm. And that's the one that has to move. I mean, literally, that's the one that needs to move. It's not from here, it's from there.
Yeah, because that makes a lot of sense, because if you look at someone's depressed, they're breathing so shallow. Mm-hmm. They're not even getting oxygen. And sometimes, I'm a type A personality. And sometimes I'll find myself working. I'm holding my breath. It's like, what are you doing, dude? You got to breathe. So I got one you might not know the answer to, but I'll share one of my problems and one of my many problems with you. And if you don't know the answer, the doctors at Mountains of Hope do know the answer, so that's the good news. But
we will find it for you.
There you go. But so I have sleep apnea, yeah. And I've ignored it forever, okay? And now because I ignored it forever, I don't sleep good. I have some heart issues, blah, blah, blah. So for you guys that have sleep apnea, pay attention. I promise you, pay attention when you're young and fix it. Because if the fix isn't that difficult. But I'm using the CPAP thing, and I have just breathe through my nose. Well, turns out I'm a mouth breather. And so that's really my big problem. So I'm really trying to discipline myself throughout the day to breathe in and out through my nose all day long. So when I go to sleep, I can breathe that oxygen in through my nose and then breathe it out through my nose and keep my mouth shut. And
Safe
so,
it.
What? Yeah, well, exactly right. I think we talked about that. So,
Like literally.
yeah.
I
Tell
mean,
me.
I will say, because I was talking about it recently with some friends, because they were saying that the mom and the dad are having kind of a sleep divorce because they need to sleep better because the dad actually is snores.
Snoring, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, have you checked your dad's breathing? So you go to the doctor because sometimes can be the functionality of your nose. I mean, because if you
Yes.
actually can literally, you are not able, like if you do this, you just get like, but some people is because they got used to breathing through their mouth.
Yeah.
So for example, for me, it used to happen that I couldn't, like literally, I couldn't do it through my nose. So the doctor checked and I had a thing, so I have to go to an internal surgery. I don't know the name in English, I don't know the name in
Yeah.
Spanish, tabique. And after that, I was able to breathe, but because I was so accustomed to do it through my mouth, so I literally have to tape it. Like
Seriously?
there were some nights that I tape it.
Still, but you're over
No,
that now.
now I'm fine. To force myself to do it through my nose. You are not gonna die. That's what I'm saying. Check first if you actually can do it through your nose.
Yeah.
But you force yourself to learn something that it doesn't know. So
Yeah.
you force yourself and then you do it. For example, when you do the exercise, the 4-7-8, and you definitely cannot do it through your nose, imagine you can do it through the nose.
Yeah.
You teach your body things, but also check it out. I mean, probably you have something, a blockage
Well,
there.
you know, that's what. So I'm going to go see an ear, nose, and throat
Yeah.
therapist because honestly, when I was younger in my 20s, I actually consumed a lot of product that Colombia used to export.
And you guys used to purchase from us?
So I hate to think what damage I've done because I think there is an issue. What I've been doing also is my wife has this little bottle that you squeeze in water into your nose and it comes out the other
Like
nostril.
a nutty pod.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. They're amazing because they cleanse your mucus. I mean, seriously. It's something that things that you can start trying. But I will say to you, check your nose first if functionally it works. If not, there are surgeries that can get done internally and it will help you. And the other thing is essential oils that I will talk about in the next episode.
So you guys got that. So listen, a lot of couples have this issue. One snores, one doesn't, or they both do, or it's a nightmare. So really, check it out. But throughout the day, work on your breathing. And in Mountains of Hope, we teach stuff like Wim Hof breathing where you go into an altered state. So there's a lot we can do with our breath and oxygen. So go to mountainsofhope.com, check it out. And Kelly, we hope to see you next week. And
Absolutely.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, I really hope you enjoyed our first segment, and that was with the Crypto King of Medellin, a title I just gave him, and Brandon Zemp. Great author, really, really smart young man that knows a lot about crypto, so I hope you got a lot out of that. To be honest with you, personally, I still haven't drank the Kool-Aid on crypto. I've gotten in a little bit. I've gotten out a little bit, but I'm not in right now. But I do know one thing, as we talked about with Brandon, if the paper assets, I don't think are going to do too well. What's paper? Stocks, bonds, cash. Okay, so either gold, silver, crypto, and I'm not giving advice. I'm just like everybody else. But in my personal opinion, anything that's solid, gold, silver's been money forever. Crypto, like I just said, I'm not in, but a lot of people are, and a lot of people are making money. And of course, real estate. I like agricultural land that you can grow stuff on and eat. So anyways, that was a great, fun time with him. I was very impressed, so I hope you enjoyed that. Then, if you do get into crypto and you lose a bunch of money, we were fortunate enough to have Kelly here, one of the health coaches at Mountains of Hope, give us a tip on how to breathe properly to reduce anxiety and to reduce stress. So now it's my turn to give you my little segment, using the power of your voice to create a powerful morning routine. And listen, you got to have some sort of morning routine. And most of us have this one, and this one is not serving us. And it's a habit I'm in the process of breaking, and that is waking up and reaching for my phone or my iPad. I'm now going to get a clock in my bedroom, so I don't have to have any of that stuff in my bedroom. And I want to leave that alone till at least 9 a.m. in the morning when I start working. So the other thing is, when I was a 35-year-old man, raising 4 kids, building a career, working really hard, I didn't have a lot of time for a morning routine. So as I share my morning routine today as a 65-year-old man, I'll tell you what I used to do then when I didn't have as much time. Now that I have the luxury of more time, even though I feel like I'm working harder than ever, but I do have freedom and I do have more time. So step number one in your morning routine, please stay away from your phone, electronical stuff until you get going with the day, right? Now, in my case, I wake up and I got to use the restroom, and then I hydrate. I try to drink 16 ounces of water in the very beginning of the morning. In a perfect day, and I'm not, this isn't every day, but this is my perfect morning routine. Sometime around 5 a.m., I'll turn on a guided meditation. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, and I listen to the Body Electric. And what I love about it is the first 10 minutes or so is you're really moving energy. You're moving kundalini energy because you're raising the cerebral spinal fluid from the base of your spine all the way up past your 33rd vertebrae into the center of your brain, and you're trying to pop open your pineal gland. And believe me, when I do it, when I'm successful, it's a super powerful, enlightening, beautiful feeling, great energy, and almost supernatural feeling. So I encourage you to do that. That's the Body Electric, Dr. Joe. Once you do that sitting up, I think pretty much we laid down, and now it's breath work. A lot of breath work, getting the energy into the body, waking up each chakra system 1 through 8. And it's a very powerful meditation, and it's a great way to start the day. Now, I know it's hard to wake up at 5 a.m., believe me. It's hard to do this. But when I do it, my day is much better than when I don't do it. And the peace that passes all understanding kind of is in my heart and stays there all day. So I try to meditate as much as possible. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% all the time, but at least 4 to 5 times a week I do that. After that, I go out and I sit in my infrared sauna right here on my balcony. And it's the one I can sit in. My head's outside of it. I can actually take my arms and put them outside as well. That goes up to 170 degrees, infrared sauna, so it goes a little deeper into the skin, which the skin is our major system to detox. So at 170 degrees, I try to stay in there for 30 minutes. You're sweating and you're detoxing, and so a lot of toxicity comes out of my body. While I'm doing that, I will also journal. And I know I've shared my journaling technique, but I want you to really get this. When I journal, I start with gratitude. Heavenly Father, thank you for my wife. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my kids. Thank you for my business. Thank you for this amazing experience I had yesterday. Thank you for whatever's going on, whatever, as much gratitude as I can fill up. And I'm writing this, so it's a kind of a prayerful type of meditation. It's not a diary. It's a real tool I use to create a better life. And this is the one thing I did as a 35-year-old man every freaking morning. And I really believe it had a lot to do with my success. So gratitude, and then I say, Heavenly Father, please give me wisdom on the following. Oh, what should I do with this situation? What should I do about this child? What should I do about this employee? What should I do about this financial obligation? What should I do about this investment? So whatever's going on, I'm asking for wisdom from the creator of all that I call God, and it's amazing what happens after that. And then I set one intention for the day, personal development. Please help me to be more conscious every second of every minute of every hour of a day. Or please help me to refrain from swearing, which I'm trying to stop that as well. So I set some sort of personal intention for that day so that I can review at the end of the night, and I just end in love. Thank you, Father. I love you. Amen. So that's my journal. I do that while I'm sitting in my sauna. Then I go for a walk with my wife, perhaps, and our dog, if that's going on that particular morning, depending. Sometimes she takes off without me. But so I would say 3 or 4 times a week I walk with my wife and we walk the dog. And if that doesn't happen, right here on my balcony, I have a treadmill, I have an elliptical machine, and I have a rebounder. So I want to get some aerobic exercise. I want to get some deeper breath. The great thing about a rebounder is, the other great detox thing in our body is the lymph system. So when you're jumping up and down on a rebounder or skipping rope or anything like that, you're moving the lymph in your body, and it needs to move and it needs to detoxify. So rebounding is a great thing. So I can't do it for 10 minutes, I'll be honest with you. So I'll do maybe 10, 15 minutes on one of the other aerobic devices, and then I'll rebound for 5 or 10 minutes. And while I'm doing that, I'll try to listen to a positive book on Audible or some sort of motivational thing. So start my day, get my mind wired right. And at some point in the day, I want to stretch and I want to lift weights. Typically, that happens more for me in the afternoon, but stretching is vitally important, and of course, strengthening our muscles is super important. The three foundations of health are nutrition. So I'll get to that. I also drink. First thing after I've done all that, I drink 12 ounces of celery juice, fresh celery juice, because it's only good for a couple hours. There's a great book by a medical medium that really talks about this celery, so I don't know the name of it top of my head, but you can Google it and research it, the power of celery juice, and then I'll drink 12 or 16 ounces of pure green juice, so like broccoli and asparagus, and we might put a green apple in there, give it a little sweetness, or my wife might throw a banana in there, but a lot of green vegetables. And if you're trying to solve certain problems in your body, you can Google certain green juice recipes, so the celery and the green juice. Then, finally, I take a steam shower every morning and, wash my hair, shave, do all that. And then the last 3 to 5 minutes in a steam shower, so I am cheating a bit here, I stand under cold water. And so I don't do the cold water ice bath yet. We're building that at Mountains of Hope, and we'll have a cold water plunge if you're ever able to come and join us for one of our retreats. But there's a lot to be said for these ice baths. And also, when I'm in that infrared sauna, when I'm done journaling, I'll work on my breath. So for me, it's, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out through my nostrils, and I'm putting myself in a relaxed state. And then later, depending on the morning, if I'm hungry, then I'll have 2 or 3 eggs scrambled. And we have a thing down here in Colombia called an arepa. It's like a corn tortilla. And so I'll just put the eggs on the corn tortilla and I'll eat it. And that will be my breakfast. So I'm good up at this point. I'm probably done by 8:30, and I don't eat again until 1 o'clock. So if I do this every day, man, my day is so much better. Especially if I miss my meditation. You would think putting all that time and energy into meditation would cost you a lot of time and energy. It actually gives you the ability to have more time, to get more done. It's strange, I know. But, of course, I'm starting at 5 in the morning, so that's not for everybody. But even if you meditate for 10, 15, 20 minutes, figure out what works for you and get a morning routine. The way you start your day is going to determine the quality of your day. The quality of your days are going to add up and determine the quality of your life. So I hope you got something out of this little morning routine. And thank you for joining us this week, and we hope to see you next week on the Power of Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Mike Murphy. Go out there and create the life of your dreams.
Thank you for listening to The Power of Your Voice with Mike Murphy. This podcast is brought to you by Mike Murphy Unfiltered, The Creation Frequency, Mountains of Hope, and the Love from Margot Foundation. These sponsors are dedicated to helping you unleash your full potential and live a life of joy and abundance. If you enjoyed this episode, please visit our website at MikeMurphyUnfiltered.com and subscribe to our podcast.